Okay everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're back on GT Sport and we're back with the FIA Nations and Manufacturer track guides for the FIA Exhibition Season 3 round number 4. Haven't been doing too many track guides recently because I've got most of the combinations covered now within a lot of different classes and tracks, etc. So if there's ever a time that I don't normally upload a track guide for an event, it's normally because they're already in my playlist for the track guide section within the playlist on the YouTube channel. So make sure you go in there every new week for daily races, FIA races, etc. because a lot of the time now I've already got guides done, so there's no point me going through these guides and doing the exact same thing again. However, this week is combinations for the FIA that I've not really done, so I decided to jump on today and get a very basic lap done on both events. I didn't spend too long on either of these. I've done these today, both of them with about half an hour's worth of driving. I think the Porsche was a bit less than that. I think it was only my 4th or 5th lap in the Porsche because I've done a few lobbies. You've probably seen me in public lobbies. I've driven the Porsche at Catalunya, so kind of know how to drive it there. So it didn't take me long to get up to speed and get a reasonable lap done. So the first lap we're going to concentrate on, obviously, is what we are looking at now on screen is the Porsche 911 RSR, which is my manufacturer of choice at the Catalunya circuit to Catalunya. And we're going to go through a very quick base track guide for yourselves to try and get you up to speed, to give you a few pointers, to try and point out areas where you can lose time and gain time, etc. and basically help you get the best qualifying position that you can when you enter this race on Saturday. So let's go down into turn 1, where we're going to be looking to brake just short of the 100 board on the left hand side. You're going to brake fractionally short of that. You will see as we slow it down, it's actually a fair bit short of it. I prefer to brake short because then it gives you a better line through this fast type chicane. You see already on the brakes there, quite a bit before the 100 board on the left hand side. We're going to go down to second gear in the Porsche. Some cars you'll be in third gear. Obviously it depends on the length of the gearing in the Group 3 car you're in. Now you can really attack the first part of the apex, getting your right hand tyre onto that green bit of Astro and just basically going over that little bump on the curb. And again, you can actually attack this curb. One thing you have to be though is very smooth on the accelerator. You'll notice on my accelerator inputs they're on 50% at that point, because if you go to 100% you're going to spin the rears and it's going to become very unstable. But once the grip's there, you can put the 100% throttle down and then a little lift off the throttle, a tap of the brake, and that will help you bite down into the apex of the curb, because the little tap of the brake will just transfer the weight to your front tyres and enable the front end to grip that little bit more, which will then enable you to get on the power all the way through this corner a little bit early. You can see I actually could have got on the power early in what I did. I had plenty of space left on the left hand side, so a lot of room for improvement for myself. There may be a tenth or so that I can gain just on that corner. Then braking just short of the bridge, you can see there, down into second gear. And again, I like to make sure you don't take too much speed into this corner, because a slower speed enables you to stay nice and tight to the apex of this curb. You'll see a tiny bit of throttle input going in there, keeping it around 50%, not full throttle, because again, you don't want to run wide. You will see the off camber of that corner, and if you go too fast in that corner, you're going to run off left, and it's going to ruin your lap. Then into the next braking zone, we're going to brake very early. There's no real reference for this corner. It's all about judgment of the distance to the corner. I like to make sure I brake early. Then down is the first gear, and what you're aiming to do is clip your left-hand tyre onto the apex of this curb and square it off. You'll see now we're in first gear, clipping that apex nicely there. We're squaring the car off, and then we're going to wait before we put full throttle in until we feel the grips there. You've got a lot of space on the right-hand side. You can actually use some of that green Astro on the right-hand side to gain a little bit of exit speed. Then we're coming into the next braking zone. Quite a tricky corner this in a medium downforce car like a Group 3. I use that little bit of white paint on the right hand side as a braking reference, and you're going to go down into second gear. You really want to take a bit more curb than what I do off on this apex. I could have done took a bit more off that and made the angle a bit less severe as I go up the hill. Now you can see I ran a little bit wide, got away without a penalty cut. Still carried reasonable speed though, but there was potential to obviously carry a bit more speed if I would have took more angle off. Then we're going to use that little bit of where again the paint on the left hand side thins out into the white line. That's my braking reference, a little tap of the brake, very similar to before earlier in the lap, and then down into third gear. And then we're going to carry as much speed as we can through this corner. Just be careful you don't run too far out wide. If your right hand tyres go past that white line on by the curb, you're going to find that you're going to get a penalty, so you don't want that, because then you're going to get the slow down, which you do not want to get. Next braking zone, braking just short of the 100 board again. You see I like to brake a little bit short, quite a bit short of the 100 board. This is going to enable us to get down the gears, brake in a straight line. That's the important thing, is you don't turn when you're braking, because you want a wide line into this corner, because you're going to square. You want to really be squaring the car and getting on the power as much as possible, because the exit is really important on this corner. You'll see how we don't get too close to the apex, but that gives us a nice angle through the corner, and we get on the accelerator nice and early, working our way into second gear, and then into this corner. You can actually cut this kind of a little bit, keep it quite straight. You will get left hand tyre over that green part of the Astro, and then that enables you to that gives you a better angle then into this right hand corner, which again you don't want to carry too much speed into. It's all about smoothness and control through these corners at Catalunya. Too much speed and it will become unstable. You'll see gentle throttle inputs going in here now, and then I'm going to increase that throttle until I feel the grip loosening on the rear. You'll see there maximum throttle. Now the grip's going to try and give up on me, but I just keep the power in, control it, and then we're going into the next braking zone, which I use that little bit of tyre mark on the curb. You need to brake before that. If you're braking on that, you're going to probably brake too late. It's just really important to get the right hand tyre as close to that higher part of curb as possible. You'll see, don't go right up to it, because if you do hit the higher part, you're going to unstabilize the car and lose a lot of time. Then into the next corner, braking very early into this corner. It's so important not to carry too much speed into this, because you need to go down into first gear, attack the first part of the apex quite aggressively. You can get away with clipping that as long as you're not on the accelerator at the point. You see I have only a tiny bit of accelerator. And then early upshift into second gear, so important, because that stabilizes the car. You're not getting the acceleration and the wheel spin that will unbalance the car. So early upshift into second, power out the corner, and then you can take this flat because the car is nice and stable. You're not getting oversteer or understeer. It's just nice and smooth all the way through the corner and over the finishing line for an okay lap of a 1 minute 43.8 with the medium tyres. That was in the top 10 stars, but like I say, there was at least 3-4 attempts I can take off that, but I didn't want to push it too long. I wanted to get these track guides out as early as possible. So we'll watch this lap now from the chase camera for anyone that uses this view that can gain anything from it, and have a little look at the lap. And I'll try and point out them places where I could have took a little bit more speed again. I think I did this corner reasonably okay. You'll see how we attack that green part of the Astro, and again you can attack the curb on this corner. You know, the Porsche isn't the most stable over curb, so I think you'll get away with it in the majority of Group 3 cars. But this corner we could have gotten the power so much early. You can see how much space I had left on the left hand side of the track. Probably could have gained at least a 10th there. And again, look how important it is to really try and stay nice and close to this right hand curb on the right hand side of the apex, because if you run too far wide, you end up running wide, and then you've got to lift in a way because you run the risk of going into the gravel. It really is important to be smooth and gentle, especially with your throttle inputs at this track. I find that if you're too aggressive on your throttle, the car starts sliding and you're just going to lose a lot of time. It really is about being smooth and progressive with that throttle input. And then this corner, again, this is a corner that you're going to probably, I think a lot of people are going to pick up penalties on, so it's going to be really important not to run too far wide. You see how my rear right tyre just skims that white line as we go through the exit of the corner and doesn't go over it. If you go over it, I find that you get a penalty. And again, this corner, how important it is to take that really wide line. It's a really tricky corner, that, but it's so important to do that line to get the exit speed from that corner. That's going to be an overtaking point where people are going to try and lunge it up on the inside as well. It's a known overtaking point at Catalunya. I think that's one of only 2 real major overtaking opportunities really at this track. Obviously turn 1 and then that corner as well. And then you can see how I managed to attack this corner, and see how stable the car was because we went in second gear on the second part of the chicane. It just stabilizes the car and avoids any transfer of weight as much, because you're not accelerating aggressively, it's not spinning the rears up. And then we're going to go now into the Nations track guide in the Formula 1 Mercedes 2017 model. So braking into turn 1, you're going to brake just before the 50 board. You see there, the 50 board is a reference, but you want to brake before that because you want to slow the car down and get a nice line into the first part of this apex as we go in down into 4th gear. And you really want to get that left-hand tyre on that curb, and that enables you to follow that red line nicely through the corner. You see how you're going into it, and then you're going to swing it into this next right-hand corner, and again, clipping the apex nicely. And you're going to see, because you're taking that line, that then gives you a nice line through to the flat-out section now onto the straight as we approach now. You see, flat-out, slightly lost a bit of time on the go set. It wasn't a perfect lap again this lap. I didn't spend too long doing it. I think there's another 3-4 attempts possible, and I don't think I could get into the 109s yet. Maybe with a lot of practice I could. I've seen someone in the 109s, but not for me at the moment. So next braking zone, as that grey bit of tarmac on the right hand side, you can see that arrow at the bottom there. That's a grey bit of tarmac. I brake pretty much on that down into 4th gear, and you want to get your left-hand tyre onto the curb. And you'll see as you go on the curb, you want to try and keep a little bit of throttle in as you're going through the corner. You'll see a tiny bit of throttle going in there, 50%, 60%, and then maximum throttle on the exit into 5th gear and accelerating out the corner and now up the hill into the really fast right-hand corner. This is all about being aggressive. Down into 6th gear, and you're going to really, you just see a tiny bit of braking input going in there, and you want to clip your right hand tyre on this curb. It's so important to hit that curb there, because if you don't do that, you're going to run wide, and that enables you then to get on the throttle pretty much all the way through the corner. You see maximum throttle, run a little bit wide to give yourself a wide entry into this tight right hand corner, down into third gear for this corner also. You see attacking this corner as well, onto the curb. I could have took that a little bit more aggressively, and kind of made me run a little bit wide, but it wasn't too bad. And then a little tap of the brake again to transfer the weight onto the front tyres to give yourself that grip. And then just be patient on the throttle here. You need to be very patient before you put maximum throttle in, or you will spin them rear wheels up and lose control of the car. Working our way up the hill, and then again into the tight right hand corner, braking pretty much just as that green bit of Astro on the left hand side comes into your view. You want to brake just on that, down into second gear, and again try and get your right hand tyre onto the curb, and that will give you a nice rotation through this corner and enable you to put maximum throttle on once the car's straightened up. You'll see I'm patient before you put the throttle on. Then once I feel the grips there, maximum throttle, working our way through the gears, a little bit of short shifting, not revving out too much through there. You see from 5 to 6 is very much a short shift, then braking just before the 50. You see quite a bit before the 50. I find that you want to be a little less aggressive on the braking here and try and brake a little bit earlier, and then get on the throttle earlier, because obviously this is a really important corner to get a slow in fast out mentality on, because you've got such a long straight now all the way to the finishing line, and you can work your way up with good exit speed. And you see how that really did help me there with that, the way I took slow in and fast out. And you can see the ghost, that's where I gained most of my time on this lap. So there was a couple of, I think I could have gained about another 2 tenths on this lap anyway, as we go over the line on a 1 minute 10.6. So I think a 1:10.3 or 4 would have been a bit better lap, but again, I didn't want to push it for too long. I just wanted to get the base lap done for everyone to take some notes on and try and improve and help them out. Obviously, because we've got this FIA race tomorrow, and I also want to try and do a stream at some point of the FIA races, just to try and work out some tactics for the race, and hopefully people can pick up some pointers for them also. So we're going to have a little look at the lap, obviously from the chase camera. You can see quite a nice lap really. There wasn't any major mistakes. It just wasn't really as aggressive as it probably could be in this Formula 1 car. It's so fast through the corners. I could probably be a little bit more aggressive and gain 3 or 4 more attempts on this lap. There I ran a little bit away. You can see the oversteer kicking in. Tried to take a bit too much speed in, and probably lost about a tenth or 2 just on that corner. And obviously on the first few corners we lost about a tenth or so as the ghost obviously accelerated past our car as we watched that on the main gameplay footage. But not a bad lap. You'll see again how we braked quite early. We went down into third gear, and then we early upshift into fourth gear. It's so important that early upshift into fourth gear and really accelerate out the corner all the way up the hill and over the start finishing line for a reasonably good lap. Anyway, hope these track guides have helped you out. Let me know in the comment section if they help you out. Let me know if they've improved your lap after the race. If you've on Saturday when you finish a race, if you think it helped you out, let me know in the comment section. I do love reading these comments about how they help you out and stuff. And we're hopefully going to be doing a stream at some point. Could be today, could be tomorrow, hopefully before obviously the FIA EU times. I'm not sure if I'll be getting the stream out. It's possible I'll be streaming before the other regions, but obviously it'll be before the EU region anyway, for myself to practice the different strategies. So make sure you check them out when I go live, and also make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you have enjoyed it. I do appreciate every thumbs up I get. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed, and click that notification button so you don't miss any future videos. I do try and upload as much as possible and also stream as much as possible. See you all again soon, everyone.